Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Imagine waking up one day in the morning and you see that Facebook, YouTube and all other kind of social medias you have been using suddenly disappear. Now this exactly is what has happened in the neighboring country of Nepal, and this has created one of the largest protests that Nepal has seen in the recent decade. So this is one of the reasons we can understand why youth or youngsters have begun to protest against the government, that is a ban on social media, but below it lies the latent problems that Nepal has been trying to hide and overcome in last couple of decades as such. So this protest also we can say is nothing but the manifestation of anger that has been brewing among the youth generation of Nepal for many years. So what was this anger? Why people are not happy with the government? Let us try to understand, decipher this in the entire detail. So first of all, if you try to look at the context of this particular topic, Nepal recently has lifted a social media ban, obviously after they put ban last week, and this resulted into a protest which also has linked government and its agencies involved in corruption like activities. So the situation becomes so tense that there has been large number of casualties, there has been reported death as well, and protesters became so angry that they thronged in the parliament of Nepal as such. Keeping all these things into consideration, the government of Nepal then did the damage control and then decided to again resume these activities on this, resume basically all the social media that were present in Nepal as such. Now if we try to understand about the broader context in which this particular protest is taking place, so we have to understand that Nepal from past several decades, especially after it abolished monarchy, it has been in the phases of political instability where we have seen frequent changes in leadership, frequent changes in the prime ministership, and this has been a trend since 2008 as such. And the example of this we can understand from the fact also that pro-monarchy protest was seen on a large scale in the Nepal, and because of the nostalgia we can say, because of the older constitution which people of Nepal were very much in favor of, and even the restoration of kingship in Nepal is something that was a major demand of the 2025 protest that took part in the early years. Apart from that also, if we try to understand, there has been protests by the teachers of Nepal as well. They went on a strike in the early days of 2025 because they wanted to have a reform in the education system, and also they wanted to change the present education bill in the Nepal as such. Overall, if we try to understand, all these activities, all these protests that we are seeing in the neighboring country of Nepal represents a systemic dissatisfaction that people have with the government as such, and especially after coming off the present Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, there was a large scale what you can call as expectation from the people, by the people of Nepal, that he will bring changes, in the governance, he will ensure reforms, he will also ensure that corruption is minimized, but these all have not actually occurred. However, if we talk about the recent protest, which also is being termed as a Gen Z protest, because mostly it is the youth population, largely between the age group of 18 to 25, which participated in the protest. So, immediate trigger of this protest can be understood from the fact that the government of Nepal decided to ban 26 social media platforms. And within this 26 social media platform, you can understand these are the platforms that we're using on a daily basis, such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, Reddit, and these are not just that people use the social media for time pass or just as entertainment. These are very important sources of information in today's world. These are very important sources or medium through which we can have conversation, through which we can have interaction with our members, family members, with our friends and all that. And when the government of Nepal came up with a blocking order, especially after the decision made by the Ministry of Broadcasting, we see that compliance deadline was breached by these social media platforms, and government then said that registration requirement, that is national registration, local office, grievance officers rule, these were something that were not actually being implemented by the social media companies, and that is why the official statement given by the government of Nepal is that because on these social media there is large scale misinformation campaign that is being launched against government of Nepal. There has been cases where the criminals are using the social media platforms to to create fraudulent activities, also to create many different types of financial frauds and all that. There has been report of fake IDs being used to create social media we can call as social media handle and all that, and because of this there has been increased rates of crime in Nepal as such. Now to some extent obviously this standpoint of government of Nepal can be considered as correct, but at the same time we have to understand that there is need to be a balance maintained between the use and regulation of social media and the complete what you can call as snatching away the rights of people to use the social media as such. However, government of Nepal has basically justified its action by quoting national security concerns, and also it has stated that it is the decision of government is in line with the Supreme Court directions that has come in this particular regard as such. Also, Communication Ministry statement has backed this particular ban. Now, before understanding how the entire protest has unraveled, I would want to bring your attention to the fact that at Legacy IAS Academy, we are going to soon launch batches, the weekday batches, that is regular batches. Where class will be conducted every day between Monday to Friday, 10 to 5 p.m. That is on 22nd of September and 16th of October. Similarly, we talk about the weekend batches that is going to take place on 4th and 25th of October. That is from where batches will commence. Now, in this particular programs, we ensure that there is a comprehensive coverage of GS paper. We also ensure 1:1 mentorship and doubt solving session. We ensure that there is a regular interaction with educators, and for that purpose, we have ensured that there is maximum 40 students per batches. Now, we also believe that there should be integrated preparation right from the start for the UPSC civil service examination, and that is why daily mains answer writing practice, test series for prelims and mains is something that you can get benefit of if you enroll in these courses. If you want to know more detail about this course features and program, you can click the link in the description box of this video, or also you can give a call to the number being displayed on the screen here. Now, if you look at this particular protest, the demographic of protest is very interesting, and that is why it is called as Gen Z protest, because it is not only that the protesters or the participant of protest basically were from Gen Z group. Largely we can say the entire protest itself was spearheaded by the Gen Z group, that is youth-led demonstrations were seen, where you have large scale participation from the university students, digital influencers, and also various different types of social media influencers such. And that is when on the social media there is a hashtag activism that has begun to take place, and because of this information there has been large scale pouring of youth population on the street. So street mobilization to some extent is largely because of the youth participation as such. Now, obviously in this participation in this protest, the key demand of the protester was simple, that the ban that has been imposed on the social media platform should be immediately revoked. Not only that, they also have asked that government should, rather than banning social media, should ban corruption, should stop corruption and end nepotism in the politics of Nepal as such. Also, we try to understand that since the social media platforms are largely being used by the urban group, the epicenter of this protest lied in the capital city of Nepal, that is the Kathmandu, and around the parliamentary region as such, plus in the eastern cities such as Izahari also we have seen protest emerging. Now, obviously protest gradually turned violent, especially when protesters began to throng in the parliament of Nepal, where the government then decided and mandated the police to use tear gases and this lathi charge and water cannons and all, and because of this it is reported that 19 protesters have lost their life, hundreds of protesters have injured, and many of them have been arrested as well. Now, obviously these all is because of the clashes that this protester had with police, and to ensure peace and prosperity in this area, peace and basically we can say peacefulness in this particular area, riot control measures has been taken by the police as such. Now, use of tear gas, water cannon, crowd dispersal techniques, all these we have seen in every area including Kathmandu as such. Now, we try to understand that the major grievance that protesters were talking about, rather than just focusing upon the ban or the revoking the ban on the social media, they also have talked about the cases of corruption and nepotism that has penetrated, or we can say that we have seen in the politics of Nepal. And because of this extensive corruption and nepotism, especially youth generation of Nepal believes that they do not have proper opportunities to earn livelihood, they do not have proper sources how they can generate income, do not have adequate job and employment opportunities, and this is nothing but an example, what you can call as manifestation of this frustration in the economic sense, largely due to these challenges what we are seeing coming out in this particular protest as such. Also, if you try to understand about, since a lot of changes has happened in political leadership in last couple of decades, but none of the political parties have been able to do something significant, especially for the youth population of the Nepal as such. So there is a kind of what you can call a dissatisfaction and distrust among every politicians and political party, and overall distrust in the leadership of Nepal as such, plus the social media ban that was carried out by the government of Nepal was considered by many youth as nothing but an example of censorship and scapegoating, because there has been earlier cases where online exposes and activism has resulted in exposing the crime and corruption in the politics of Nepal. Especially these kind of exposes have targeted the elites of Nepal. So many youth also believe that such kind of ban was to protect the elite group of Nepal, protect the politicians of Nepal as such. If you look at the domestic and international reactions, we can understand that opposition parties obviously they have condemned the ban, they have come out in the favor of protesters. Also, human rights group have said that the Nepalese government have used coercive measures and stern measures against the protesters. So there has been protest by the human rights group also. They also believe that by putting a blanket ban on all kind of social media platform, the government, civil society is also talking about, the government is trying to curb the free speech, government is trying to curb the digital right of the citizens of Nepal. Plus telecom businesses also, they were not happy with this because they believe that it will have an economic impact, because you try to understand today social media is not only being used for the exchange of ideas or putting up of ideas and communication, it is also, it today also has emerged as a very important platform for buying and selling of things, and that also could have affected businesses as well. International response also has been toward in the favor of protesters, we can say, because international media had put an alarm that such kind of blanket ban also is simply a violation of the fourth pillar of democracy, that is media. Rights organizations have also obviously all across the world have raised concern about it. Diplomatic concern also have been raised, and there has been offer of mediation and aid. Now overall, what you have to understand, that government, it seems that the pressure has worked, the protest has worked, and just after one day government has decided to remove this ban on the social media platform. So for now we can understand that protesters have won. But key takeaways, if you try to understand from this entire development we can have, is there is a need of balanced digital law. Obviously the claim of Nepalese government that social media is being used today to conduct various types of crime is not false, is not incorrect, but there is a need for a balanced digital law and proportionate enforcement of these laws. Similarly, we have for the first time seen that Gen Z, that is youth population of Nepal, they were the one who were spearheading, and they were the one who were the massive participant of this protest. So youth led movement can indeed cause policy reversals, and the Nepal's case study is the best example of that. Third, we also have to understand that today, rather than just depending upon and this, what you can say, fighting with the government for the traditional rights, today digital right is something that also has been integrated in the overall, or what you can call as the way of life of people as such. And today social media is seen as not only a platform for what you can call as entertainment, but it is a platform that is being used as a fundamental right of any citizens. So the Nepal social media ban crisis demonstrates the power of digital native generations to challenge government overreach and defend online freedoms as such. And thus we can say that protesters have been successful, and that is why government of Nepal has basically remove the ban and such. And this is not only a lesson for the Nepalese government, this is a lesson that all government across the world should understand, that social media ban can be very difficult in today's world to actually enforce. So that is all about this particular video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with your aspirants, and subscribe to channel for more such content. Thank you very much.